Hi there, RobRant fans. This is Beck here, and you're probably listening to our latest episode on YouTube. But by popular demand, we are now on both Podbean and Spotify. So if you would like to listen to us, especially on the go, you can find that in the description below. I hope you guys enjoy the podcast, and I'll be talking to you soon.
Yes, guys, welcome to episode 2 of the podcast. I'm pretty sure you guys are excited to be here.
My name is Beck. I am one of your co-hosts.
And I am Reece. I am your second co-host, of course.
And it has been an amazing journey so far. We have recorded 2 podcasts so far. We've had the first episode of the main RobRant podcast, and we had our Malari special. And how would you say it's been so far for you, Reece?
Oh, I'm not gonna lie, it's been sparkish. I'm excited. I'm very, very excited for the future podcast. And also we've had a lot of positive feedback, you know. We just gotta give a quick shout out to, go ahead, Beck.
First of all, I wanna give a quick shout out to a few people. I wanna give a shout out to Margaret. I know you're listening, who's been saying some absolutely lovely stuff on us for Facebook. All the way in Canada, she has been.
She's from Canada?
She's from Canada, yes. And she's been giving us a big shout out every single episode we've had so far. So, big love to Margaret out there as well.
Big love to Margaret, like international waters.
We also want to give a shout out to our close friend Josh, who has agreed to be our first ever Patreon.
Yes, we're on track, guys.
So later today, you will hear a question that he has answered, because again, he's decided to subscribe to us on Patreon, which is really, really nice to hear that he's financially supported us. And finally, just a big shout out to everyone who's gotten in contact and said that they've loved the podcast, that they've enjoyed. It really feels like we have a start of a new community, you know.
100%.
But did you know, Reece, this is a real special episode this week. Do you want to know why?
Why is it a special
Because
episode?
this podcast, we have our very own in-house producer, Dom.
Yes,
again.
we do. Yes, we do.
As well.
Woo! Round of applause for Dom.
I'm very excited to have Dom with us here today. Dom, do you want to say anything?
Thank you. No, it's just an honour to be here.
He's
He's a little shy. You know?
He just loves being in the room, to be honest. But before we get started, we're gonna have a bit more of a newsy episode, like we did in the first podcast that we released. But we're gonna have to have a continued section of our podcast, which we've decided to call "What We Got Wrong." And trust me, over the course of this podcast, there will be a lot.
A lot. We're only human, guys, of course.
An absolute lot that we got wrong. So we're gonna need some sort of introduction for this, by the way. You know that, right?
Okay, cool. So how are we gonna do this?
Should we make some sort of soundbite for what we got wrong?
Should we harmonise or something?
We could harmonise. Do you want to be low or high?
Well, I've got the deeper voice. So
you have got a deeper voice. So should we just do like a harmonise what we got wrong?
Alright, cool. Let's see how terrible this will be.
3, 2, 1.
What we got wrong. So, what did we get wrong, Beck?
We got wrong. Right before you actually, Rosie clipped that and we'll soundbite that and we'll use that forever. Anyway, what did we got wrong? It's not even that we got the news wrong. It's not that we got some fact wrong. I feel like a terrible friend that I got the name of our DJ wrong.
Oh, no.
Mine and Dom's future housemate Tahj, who you'll be hearing at
man.
some point. He's the man who created that incredible soundtrack for the start of our podcast. I introduced him last week as DJ Bad Luck, which is not his name. He is DJ Dumb Luck.
Dumb, not bad.
Dumb, not bad, which is really kind of stupid of me. And again, we will come up with, we will say an awful lot of stuff that is wrong in this podcast, I'm fairly sure.
And if you guys are out there, feel free to correct us. Honestly.
Exactly, feel free to correct us.
Literally.
Write in, tell us we're being stupid, tell us we're wrong.
Tell us we're
I
idiots.
would love to hear what we have to say. So, I'm sure we will add on, as the weeks to go, to our new section of what we got wrong. But now, for now, on to the news. And you know what? Like, there's been an explosion in Lebanon. There has been riots in America and in Belarus. A second coronavirus case in America. Anything else you want to add?
I was going to say the coronavirus case in Hong Kong as well.
Exactly, yeah.
Which we will talk about later.
It's all very, very terrible. But we have been asked repeatedly to share our opinions on a certain footballer who's been in trouble this week. Someone that our in-house producer Dom is a big fan of. Harry Maguire, Reece, what do you know about him?
Harry Maguire. Rings a bell. Isn't he the captain of Manchester United?
He's not just the captain of Manchester United. During the World Cup, he was the captain of England as well. So, what's happened? You know what? We have a Man United fan in the studio. Dom, do you want to tell us what has happened with Harry Maguire? Try to put your personal biases
aside.
Well,
Or bring them in if you like.
Personal biases aside, I think it's a complete sham the way the media have handled this. Harry Maguire is an upstanding member of society. He's not put a foot wrong. Yes, he might have beat up some police officers, but I'm willing to sweep that under the rug. If he scores us a big header in a big game, you know what?
It's all worth it.
It's all worth it.
Fair enough.
Just to give you guys some context. So Harry Maguire, captain of England and Manchester United, he decided after his mediocre season in the Premier League, he needed a holiday in Greece. So he went with his brother and sister, and he, at the end of the night, got into a bit of a scrap whilst drinking way too much with two football fans, in which, after the police arrived to intervene with this fight, Harry Maguire decided it was the best course of action to assault one of them in a foreign country. And not only, do you know what he did after assaulting them?
What did he do?
He decided to try and bribe them.
I'm really curious as to how much he bribed them with, or tried to bribe them
I know,
with.
did he just make 30 euros for doing it or something?
I've got 30 euros.
Apparently, people have been saying that he was in the police station going, "Do you know who I am? I am the captain of Manchester United."
Nice. So, do you know who I am? I'm the chief of police. It's probably how he.
Like,
how he
of course,
answers
there's
that.
got a lot of foreign countries in which there are corrupt police officials, of course, but do not try and assault a police officer, no matter where you are in the world. That will ruin your life. What's the sentence, you know, Dom?
I think you're 21 months in prison.
21 months in prison for assaulting a police officer. And
Isn't great.
Isn't great, but from looking at what would happen to someone from Greece if they did that, they would have had 5 years plus. So this is really an example of kind of like privilege helping you out just slightly, maybe.
Yeah, true. But at the same time, like, fair play to them. They actually like sentenced him, like, considering he's a public figure, pretty much. So. Gotta give him credit there.
And also, this happened ridiculously quickly. Like, he only got into this less than a week ago, I think, at the time of the recording, maybe.
About that.
And really, about a week ago, and somehow they've already had the court date, and they've given him a 21-month sentence that is suspended for 3 years. So he will, in 3 years' time, he will get extradited to Greece, and he will have to go into prison for 3 years.
Yeah, but I must say that police officer missed out on a lot of money. A lot of money.
Oh, I completely disagree. Think about how much money they're going to be able to sell to the Daily Mail now.
True.
That police officer saw the opportunity before him and was like, okay, I've been punched by the England captain.
Okay.
I can retire.
You probably ran into the punch as well, even more so.
But it's like, frankly, it's at one time, we're in a mid-pandemic, don't go on holiday, I'm sorry. At the same time, it's not probably the best idea, but at the same time, like, what
people are desperate, I guess. Like, that's how I see it.
People are desperate. Like, how are you going and hitting a police officer, then bribing them? That is
it's a
bad idea. And again, this is what I try to think about. If it was just a random person from Greece, their life would have been destroyed.
Pretty much, yeah.
Because he's an England international and he's an England star, he's somehow been able to get off fairly lightly, to be honest.
I guess so.
I mean, he's been dropped from the England national team like that, which is...
Of course he would. Like, literally, that's bad publicity as well from the England national team as well.
Which is pretty great, to be honest. But, like, we will keep you updated with how the situation develops, because I'm sure there's going to be other trials and mistrials. Of course. And appeals.
There are a lot of sports stars that have been in trouble. Like, speaking of which, actually, do you know about Usain Bolt?
Usain Bolt.
The fastest man in the world, couldn't run away from Corona.
I love Usain Bolt. I've grown up watching Usain Bolt, you know. It's been...
Bro, of course.
Go for it.
Like, literally, just growing up watching the Olympics, he's been, like, the main event which everyone wants to watch. Everyone wants to watch Bolt, like, outpace everyone and probably showboat, like, seconds before the finish line.
And it was
Everyone loves
amazing
that.
just watching him cross the finish line,
Of course,
2
it's
meters
like-
in front of everyone else with a big smile on his face. I don't care. There were probably English people in that race. I did not care. I did not.
No one
support
cares. I think everyone was going for Bolt, even if they were like French people, like French athletes in the 100 meters, like Japanese, like Trinidadian, whatever. Everyone's going for
To be
Bolt.
fair, do you remember in Beijing the first time he did it though?
Oh,
'Cause
yeah.
he was practically unheard of because
Pretty
Usafo
much,
Powell
yeah.
was the person who had the 100 meters beforehand.
Yes, the
And
bald
he
hedge, like,
came in
indeed.
and he smashed it.
Smashed it, and he even decided to showboat before it as well, which makes me think like if he didn't do that, then he would have beaten the world record even more.
But like I'm talking about like 9.58 was his ultimate record. You used to do a bit of sprinting back in your day, right, Reece?
Yeah, you know, back in the day, like I think
Like-
my best time was probably like 11 seconds.
And honestly, growing up I went to the same secondary school as Reece, in which you watch him run, and you were lightning back in the day.
Why, thank you, man.
But like,
Of course.
and then Reece, of course, like broke his knee.
Yes, in the stupidest way ever.
Oh, do you want to tell them about how you broke their knee?
Go on, why not? So essentially what happened was like, so it was I was doing work experience, and everyone had different work experiences, and mine was sort of I was a sports development officer. So essentially what a sports development officer does is they teach little kids like sports pretty much. So it's like a PE assistant or like whatever. And so I was in this place teaching about 250 school kids how to do indoor athletics. And so in indoor athletics, what you do is you run to each wall and you hit this block on the wall. And so I was told to sort of demonstrate how to run now. So it's me, this tiny little kid with glasses, against like 4 other kids, double the size of me, double the width of me.
But again, Reece is rapid. He should be able to win this.
Yeah.
I've seen it win like the intermentor races.
No,
constantly.
many times. So the bell goes, I run, I'm losing. I'm like, all right, cool. The next block, I have to beat these guys. So I come to the next block now, and instead of slowing down, which any normal person would when they come to the block, I decided to speed up. And so I sped up and hit the block, and I essentially ran straight into the block with a straight leg, and my leg went ways in which a leg shouldn't go. Like, you know how your leg bends backwards, or however you're bending right now, it bent the opposite way. Hit the floor, and obviously like 7 surgeries later, I'm here. So yeah, don't be too competitive during a demonstration.
For about a year and a half afterwards at school, Reece, now known as Robocop because of the massive plaster heads things he had.
Plaster, the massive like what's it called?
It
Like
was a mess. To be fair, the fact that you can walk now is almost a miracle at this point.
Oh, bro,
'cause
honestly.
it was a gnarly injury. But anyway, you would be watching Reece at the Olympics in the next couple of years if it wasn't for that.
Exactly. You might see me in the Paralympics soon.
But what were we talking about? Oh, we were talking about Bolt. We got a little bit distracted there.
Apologies.
So Usain Bolt decided to throw a party for his birthday, which anyone would like a party for their
Yeah, of
birthday.
course,
I
man.
would like it. You would like it.
Yeah, we would.
At the same time, we're mid-COVID. Probably not the best idea to invite hundreds of people to your birthday party. And I'll give you a wild guess what happened to both the guests and Bolt.
All right, one guess. What happened?
What happened? Well, really, what happened was, shocker, everyone got coronavirus, surprisingly, which is just kind of tragic. He's come out here and he's trying to say that it was inappropriate and it was a bad idea for him to do, and that he shouldn't do that. But
Probably
this
got
is,
paid a lot to do that.
I guess so, but it was just kind of dumb of him. Have you heard about recently, in order to counter this thing, like Reece, you've got a birthday coming up, 3rd of September, I believe.
Yeah, big up
3rd of
myself.
September, if in a week's time, if any of you want to give a big shout out to Reece on his birthday. The government has decided if you throw a event with over 30 people at your house, you will get a £10,000 fine.
Seriously.
£10,000 fine.
But yet they're endorsing eat out to help out.
We get eat out to help out. Anyway, like there's actually that brings us on.
Yeah, exactly, bro. Yeah, they're endorsing eat out to help out.
Like
How
honestly,
backwards.
I will put my hands up and say that I am guilty. I have enjoyed help out to eat out.
Help out to eat out. My
honestly,
bad. That's the one.
What is the point of help out to eat out? If it's to boost the economy, I don't understand how this is working at all. Do you?
Yeah, I sort of get how it's working.
Explain it from like your perspective at least.
Okay, so I'll explain it from a simpleton's point of view. So essentially what it is, it's like a load of people like going to shops every single day, every single Monday to Wednesday. And what it's doing is it's pushing people to spend more money. From personal experience, I've spent more money in certain shops than I ever have in general. In certain food shops than I ever have in general, because it's 50% off. So it's very, very clever, if you get what I mean, essentially. If that makes sense.
For me, again, I have enjoyed it, and I feel dirty every time that I use help out to eat out. Because, for one, it's supposedly supposed to boost the economy, which...
Yeah, you're spending more money.
If we want to boost the economy, we need to get rid of coronavirus as soon as possible, no?
I get that.
We're supposed to boost the economy. It's the Conservatives' big plan to somehow help out, and we are in one of the greatest recessions of all time.
Yeah, fair enough.
I put it this way: help out to eat out means that we recorded on Thursday this week, Thursday the 27th, and we went on Wednesday yesterday, in which the Oracle in Reading was the busiest I had ever seen it in my life. A better breeding ground for coronavirus I don't think you could ever see in your life. Now we have 3 days where hundreds of people pour into a small area, whereas instead beforehand, and then the rest of the week is completely empty. We essentially produce a mass gathering in every single restaurant that we have.
That makes sense, but I'm going to test you here, Beck. The coronavirus deaths and cases, have they gone up?
They've gone down, actually.
Exactly. That's why I'm like,
But, to throw a little bit of science of you, the reason why I reckon the coronavirus deaths have gone down and the cases become less severe, the way I can explain it is these diseases like coronavirus, bird flu, swine flu, tuberculosis, they all come from animals, and they're animal diseases, and they're designed to make animals sick. And what makes animals sick makes us very sick.
Okay.
Like, viruses don't actually want to kill you. What they essentially... it's the same as the reason why we don't want to burn down this lovely house that we're living in. Viruses live in you. So, the very dangerous viruses that have killed a bunch of people, slowly over time... People that are getting it now are dealing... Like, when someone has a really dangerous thing, they die with it and people are extra cautious around it. People get asymptomatic cases. Slowly, over time, they will get a slightly less reduced case over and over again. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Which is kind of, like, stupid at the same time. But we need to do our best to try and make sure that we are reducing cases as much as possible, because even though it's getting less deadly, it's still pretty deadly, to be honest.
No, of course, and it's still prevalent, it's still around, and we can't really hide from it at the end of the day.
So, help out to eat out. As much as I love it, I don't think it's helping as much as the government thinks. Which, if you're a listener of us, I'm sorry, the Conservatives have dealt with this awfully. And we will talk about all the different things that they've done without the podcast and so on.
Yeah.
Because we have so many things to talk about. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, can I just say, so like, quick plug, but obviously my cousin has a thriving business, and he said that since the help out to eat out thing, his business has like boomed, like. From Mondays to Wednesdays, he's so busy, ridiculously busy. And I can just imagine that's happening with other shops as well, other small businesses and big businesses. Like, they are thriving throughout those days, and they're becoming more well-known.
But the competition about it. Imagine if you are someone who works in a bar or a restaurant or someone that serves food in which you are pretty reliant on tips. If you do not get the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday shift... your tips are going to go... You're not going to get any tips at all because they are deserted. Dom, you went the other day on like a Thursday, I think, and how empty was the restaurant?
Yeah, it's deserted. It's like a ghost town, basically.
It's like a ghost town. So
everyone fills their belly and then...
And then they're done, and then they
They're done.
hibernate for the rest of the week
No more
until
free
Monday.
But we will get back to how awfully the Conservatives are dealing with everything that coronavirus related. And personally, I hate to say this, I would do a better job, you would do a better job, and you would do a better job of dealing with this. Because we actually care about the people, which Boris Johnson, I'm afraid, does
Of course,
not.
of course.
Let's be honest. But
Beck
but
for
like,
president.
thank you very much. We're gonna get into some more stuff to do with the news, but as we had in the first episode, in which Dom gave us a surprise question, this surprise question comes from our Patreon Josh, who was
Josh, thank you, man.
Thank you very much for supporting the podcast. We have loved to have you here. So Josh's surprise question, if I just open up the book, he was talking to us earlier in which he wrote on a piece of paper the question for us to discuss this week.
Okay, cool.
And it's a 3-word question of, should billionaires exist?
That's a good question.
That is a good question.
That's a
I'm going to
really good
open the
question.
floor to you first, Reece. What do you think?
Okay, alright, interesting. Alright, so eat the rich. That's what I'm on. I believe that no one should have that amount of money. No one person should have £1 billion or dollars. And if you do, what are you doing with it? If a billionaire exists, then that means homelessness should not exist. Like, with $1 billion, you can do so much. You can help out so many communities. You can help out so many lives in general. And what I believe, like, for example, someone like Elon Musk, he probably does donate.
Who I apparently hate.
Yes,
but-
who Beck very much hates, apparently. Someone like Elon Musk, like, fair enough, he's an amazing, like, craftsman, whatever he does. But at the same time, you don't really hear much of him, invest.
Being a philanthropist.
Yeah,
essentially.
essentially, pretty much. So,
Can I just give you like a quick example? So I saw this thing on Facebook earlier, which imagine you're someone who lives in Egypt 3,000 years ago, right? And you're all of a sudden given Elon Musk's amount of money that he has today.
Yeah.
And you spend $8,000 a day.
Yeah.
You would still have 20 billion.
That's ridiculous.
You'd still have 20 billion by
That's ridiculous.
2020, 5,020 years later.
Jeez.
So really, that's just to give you an idea of the absolute scope of money that these people have.
That's too much money. It's way too much money.
And yet...
And also, sorry to cut you off, Beck.
No, go for it.
But also, I believe that in order to get to that certain level of £1 billion or dollars or yen, whatever you want to call it.
$21 billion a week is what Bezos is on right now. But
A
continue.
week. That is too much. That's too much money. Honestly, it gets me. It turns me crazy. So yeah, like, in order to get to that level of, like, wealth, you have to step on a lot of toes, and then you have to step on a lot of knees and crush a lot of heads. Because I don't believe. Well, this is a personal opinion, to be honest. But, like, I don't believe that in order to get to that level, you are doing it ethically.
I mean, I'm honestly a bit more, I think, torn than Reece is on this issue. For example, look at a country like China.
Oh yeah.
Give it about 80 years ago, 90% of China are in complete poverty, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're dealing with communism, they're dealing with a dictatorial government, and they still deal with a dictatorship government now. The difference is they have embraced capitalism, and now almost all of their citizens have been brought out of poverty. Capitalism has that benefit at least.
Mm-hmm.
So in a way, you kind of have to some way allow billionaires in order for progress to be made. Like someone like Jeff Bezos, not only Jeff Bezos, like Elon Musk, who is helping us with space and helping us with like these renovations, or Bill Gates, who has come up with loads of charitable ventures.
No, of course.
In a weird way, you need to have billionaires for them to not only invest it back in society, but also to give people the aspiring boost. Like if for Jeff Bezos, think about how many warehouses he has propped up across the world.
He's given up a lot of jobs. I'll
setting
give
up
him
Amazon.
that. That's understandable.
Equally, and this is where, in terms of the head v heart dilemma, comes in my head. My head says what I just said, but my heart believes you have all of that money. And we are walking. When I walk through Reading Town Centre, I see homeless person. They don't need that much money to
No.
have a relatively comfortable life.
Not at all. Not at all. No one needs. How many is it? 9 zeros?
Exactly, but this is
Like,
the whole
what?
this is the whole thing where I think about, like, billionaires. Should they exist? Maybe, but if I don't know about you, but if I had a billionaire, I feel like I have too much of a heart, and I would try my hardest to help other people.
Mm-hmm.
And I honestly, I hate to say it, I think you are quite selfish if you are not doing everything you can in that situation. When you have
have a lot.
everything that you could have in order to support yourself and your family for generations, plus enough to help out millions of people, how are you not doing something about it?
100%. Like, I saw one fact, is the fact that, so if you were to combine the top 10 richest people in the world together and their wealth, they could completely end world hunger times 3, literally. So that's what I'm saying, it's just so much money, but what are you doing with it? I guess at the end of the day, it's
Not
like...
enough.
What? Sorry?
They're not doing enough.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
exactly. Yeah, they're not doing enough.
Like,
I
put it
thought
this
you
way.
said a trillion's not enough.
Jeff Bezos has enough money to give the entire world 80 quid each.
Wait, is that after him being broke? So
that-
once he
that's-
gives it, does he
wait.
still have money in his account?
And
Or is
then
he broke
there's
after that?
divorced wife who's now like 6th in the world for richest people with like a net total of $30 billion that she got through divorce, which is hilarious. She has more money than she could spend in 100 lifetimes because of divorce. So should billionaires
Marriage is
exist?
expensive.
I mean, they're a natural cause of what we need to progress, but if I reckon billionaires should not exist if everyone was nice and moral and cared about their fellow human beings. So,
Of course.
future billions listening out there, give back. I guess is what I'm trying
pretty
to say.
much just give back, I guess. But no, going back to what you're saying, yeah, there are good billionaires out there.
I'm
Elon
sure,
Musk
but
being one of
I'm
them.
sure,
Big
but
up
like,
Elon Musk.
but I'm sure, but all I'm saying is if you have the power to do good,
Yeah,
do good.
of course.
It doesn't take much.
Not at all.
It really doesn't.
Even a
Should
smile goes a long way, guys.
Exactly.
And do you know what also goes a long way? Subscribing to our Patreon.
I think Reece is starting to sound like Bernie Sanders of I am once again asking for your financial support. Regardless. Anyway, we will move on. I think the general consensus is it's kind of natural that billionaires exist,
Yeah.
but
Hard work goes a long way.
moral billionaires I don't think exist. Should exist.
Yeah. I'm with you. So,
It's
yeah.
tragic. Anyway, back to news. So, for me, I've been, I've been off school at my main school for about 5 weeks now. And I have been following the news in which the government have been telling schools this and that. My mum, who is a head teacher, has been having to have so much advice that she then has to change and change and change because they flip-flop on everything. And the next piece of advice that the next apparently plan to give schools is on the 2nd of September, which is the opening day for most schools.
What?
So instead of giving any advice to the schools before they actually open, they plan to give it to the schools on the 2nd of September, so there has to be a frantic change when they decide to introduce new policies. How ridiculous is that?
Absolutely ridiculous. I'm sorry. What?
So for one, some of the stuff that... Sorry, do you have something to say?
No, go ahead.
So for one of the things that they've decided to introduce is if you are a parent that chooses to not send their child in, you will face an £120 fine from the government.
I mean, it's not exactly $1 billion, but
It's not a billion, sure, but like if you're a family that lives on £30 a week to raise your children, £120 is the difference between you breaking essentially. You not being able to support, it's really kind of disgusting. Again, Boris Johnson, when he makes his spine, when he's probably thinking about his Eton family, children and whatnot,
yeah.
who could £120 fine, sure, we can just shrug that off and everything. To the poor families, in which he recently said how much that he cares about poor children. He wants to send kids back to school because he doesn't want them to miss out. He's willing to bankrupt a family because of it. It is ridiculous. He's also introduced, he's flip-flopped on the idea of masks. Apparently now, teachers should wear masks, students should wear masks, after ages of them saying that's not appropriate. So I want to kind of ask you, Reece.
How the hell do you teach with a mask?
We'll get to that, but like,
What?
just to begin with,
Like,
should we have masks in school, Reece?
no.
No? Like, go on, talk to us.
No, like, at the end of the day, like, okay, so pretty much this whole idea of the bubble, like, once you... So, for those who don't know, like, you can create sort of this, like, social group called a bubble, which basically says that if someone gets coronavirus within that bubble, like, everyone's secure. Is that how it works, pretty much?
The idea is you divide your school into different groups of staff and children, and they essentially spend as much time together with each other as possible.
Yeah.
So, if you have one child who like has coronavirus, the bubble gets sent home, yet the rest of the school can remain and coronavirus is not spread.
Yeah,
Which
so...
for one is really, really, really difficult. I don't know how many of you guys remember your primary schools, but how was that even possible? Like, we've been told in the latest guidelines that we have to remain 2 meters away from staff. And my halls aren't even 2 meters like wide, so like there's no way that I'm somehow be able to avoid. The advice is completely impractical. And what is more disgusting is Boris Johnson has recently blamed teachers for taking part in the help out to eat out thing, because he said, "Oh, teachers were not supposed to like follow that."
This guy is a walking contradiction. What? He makes rules and says, "Yes, I'm going to make these rules, and you're going to conform to these rules." And then you conform to the rules, and then he's like, "No, you're breaking the rules."
And then exactly, so like he decided to say no mask, yes mask, no social distancing, yes social distancing,
Go
not
to
back
work.
to school, go back to school. And this is the way that he nakedly decides to blame anyone who supposedly does the wrong thing. And it's easy to do the wrong thing when they tell you every option at once and tell you two things that can't exist at the same time. So should we have masks in school? For one, as someone who teaches, it's going to be very difficult. Teaching is a very expression-based focus. It's
100%.
also, like, especially me who deals with primary school children, it's quite alienating to have your teacher in a mask, I imagine.
Yeah, it's frightening.
It is frightening, and I think it's kind of ridiculous that, like, especially when they're saying that everyone has to go back. It's full steam ahead. Again, 1919, when we had the Spanish flu, pandemic, the first wave didn't kill that many people. The second wave killed like about 20 million people-ish, which is crazy. Yeah, we've had a first wave in which 45,000-ish have died in this country.
It's good memory.
We have a second wave. If we have a second wave that approaches, odds are it's going to be significantly worse. And yet the government doesn't care. They just want us working for their precious economy. I'm sorry if the mood of the podcast has dropped recently. It's just hard.
It is stressful. It is stressful. But at the end of the day, it is a ridiculous like a theory at the end of the day. So yeah.
So but that brings us on to other dumb toy policies, like the complete mess that they have made about year 13 A-level results.
Like what? Literally. So when that was all happening, I remember like browsing Twitter and seeing people get their predicted grades, which was like A star, A, and a B or whatever. And then they would get like E, D, and U. How does that work? What sort of computer algorithm are you using to mark these people down or up or whatever? It's so backwards and broken. Like, vote Tories out straight up.
The way I see it, essentially what they have done is they have decided to take your predictive grades, and they have decided if you went to a high-end school, those grades would get bumped. If you went to a generic state school, those like results would get destroyed. So I'll give you an example. I needed to get ABB to go to university, and during my mocks I got BCC, which is not good enough. But I worked really, really hard and got it up to BBC. However, with this new conservative program, I reckon they, like, because I went to a generic state school, they probably would have nerfed me back down to CCC and I wouldn't have been able to go to university. It is disgusting. Whereas if I went to Eton, they probably would have seen that BBC and I would have gone to AAA and gone to a Russell Group University and had a much better life. This is the thing whether you don't realise. They are toying with people's lives at this point.
100%. 100%. And do you know what their excuse was? Their excuse was, oh, it was a computer who marked everyone down. A computer.
Like there was no way you could have just asked kids to I don't know, submit coursework. How I would have done it, say if they take history for A level, just ask them, okay, we're gonna release a certain topic and you have to write 2,000 words within a couple of days, submit it. But they decided just to go on whim and your school education, which school you went to decide. It is horrible, to be honest. And it's another example of just how they are not, like, this is when Boris said that he wants people to go back to school because it'd be damaging to children's education. Bullshit. He does not care.
No, he doesn't.
He does not care about the likes of you and me. He cares about his own. And those are children that go to significantly richer schools than us. And it is frankly disgusting.
Yeah, I can't lie.
Speaking of corrupt politicians, have you heard, what do you know about the Russian elections, Reece?
Oh, bro, I think you know I know nothing about the Russian elections.
Resume. Anyway, so do you remember, like, Russia has a big history of poisoning people in this country.
No, I'm aware of that. Very aware of that.
So, do you remember, like, a while ago, we had the Salisbury poisonings, in which, like, 2 people plus other people that were in surrounding areas got poisoned because of, well, there was one person who had some ties to Russia, and they decided to try and kill him.
Yeah.
So the guy's daughter got poisoned. Then you had case the Litvinenko guy. Do you remember him?
Yes, it rings a bell, yes.
So he was a spy.
Yes, yeah.
So he was a spy for the KGB that they poisoned with radioactive polonium, which is
it's quite a big deal.
It's a fucking metal way to kill someone, to be honest. It's pretty disgusting. So recently,
doesn't like dissolve you from the inside out or something like that. Like,
pretty much. It's pretty horrible. But like we recently had Vladimir Putin's main political rival. And he passed out after drinking some tea.
Must be some good tea, man.
He passed out drinking some tea and he was rushed to the hospital, in which the doctors there said that, despite him being in a medically induced coma, he is in that because of low blood pressure. No, he, like, from the medical, like, which I understand, if you live in Russia, you're not going to go against the government.
No,
you're not going to, like, criticise them.
Of course not, no.
So what I reckon, what it's been pretty much released recently is that he definitely got him poisoned. And this is nothing new to Russians. Again, they poisoned someone in Salisbury, they poisoned Litvinenko. There's one of the main activists have you heard of Pussy Riot, the Russian protesters?
Oh, no, I haven't, but yeah.
So they're protesting sort of the government and going for reform, and the Russian governments have essentially tried to kill off quite a few of them by poisoning recently.
Okay.
Which is quite, like, terrible, to be honest. But it's just kind of, like, a difficult situation, to be honest. Then we, like, move on to... Have you seen the Belarus protests recently?
Yeah, I've seen a lot. What's happening in Belarus now? Like, what's the whole objective behind that?
So there's, like, a bunch of voting corruption in Belarus right now, in which people are quite unhappy living under a dictatorial state, as you can imagine. So there's been massive protests to do with voter reform. Have you ever heard of Omegle, Reece?
Of course. That's a big Year 6 throwback.
I got bored the other day and I went on Omegle and just went to, like, a random chat with someone. And I decided to start talking. I, like, get matched with this random... Okay, I probably should explain this. When you go on Omegle, they match you to a random chat like someone in the world. And I got somehow connected to someone in Belarus.
Interesting, okay, and you got speaking.
I got speaking in which the person was saying how they've had a horrible week because the protest, he said, literally, if he had gone outside, the police would have beaten him up and probably killed him. He was telling me about how, like, the police have come round and just raided his home and destroyed all his stuff and chucked him out. And it is pretty gnarly, to be honest. It's pretty dangerous. And I fully said to him, "Aren't you worried that they are like spying on like your network connection?"
Mm-hmm.
And then he instantly disconnected.
Really? That's freaky.
That is freaky.
That is freaky. No one's safe in Belarus, basically. Much.
It is pretty scary, to be honest. But
jeez, but what can you do at the end of the day? Like, yeah.
But then
And also, yeah.
go for it, sorry, no.
No, I was gonna say, like, with the Hong Kong riots as well, are they still a thing right now that's happening?
Yeah, Hong Kong, after their million-person riots around Christmas Day and whatnot, they've still been doing their thing, but I don't really know how to really stress it. It's just not going to work. I'm sorry.
Pretty much.
They're going to be absorbed into China. It's going to be horrible for them. Like, I don't really know what to do with them. Did you hear about the second case, though?
No.
The
Wait,
second...
the second case of coronavirus.
Yeah, go for it.
That's so pretty much in Hong Kong as a second confirmed case of coronavirus. So essentially, they've been drawn into a second wave of coronavirus, and obviously, as you know, like that's a pretty big deal.
Like not just a second wave. They've had a second confirmed case of someone who's had coronavirus and then gone away, and then somehow they've come back and they've tested him again and he's had coronavirus again, which is terrifying. Again, I've had coronavirus. I don't want it again.
I reckon, obviously they would have said something though, but I reckon there is more than one strain of coronavirus, or COVID-19. Well, COVID-19 is the strain itself, of course, but I reckon there's another strain of it out there, which you can easily get.
Probably, but this is the whole thing where, because the fact it's coming again is quite stressful, to be honest, because we're all living for this sort of herd immunity, and if it's changing that, like, that quickly, that could put into doubt the fact that we are going to have to live with this. Again, when we went to Malawi last year, when they deal with a malaria again and again and again, that puts into question that that might be the new reality for us.
Most probably. So you're saying it's like the common flu, basically? Is that what's going to happen? Are those your theories?
I don't know. At the same time, it seems like this news is kind of brought to sort of scare us slightly. But if you think about it, from what I've seen from this person who got coronavirus twice, the first time they got pretty terrible symptoms. The second time they got asymptomatic symptoms.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like maybe, just maybe, he still has antibodies and he's still fighting against it because it brought it off early. There's no reason that you can't get the disease and then lose it straight away, if that makes sense.
That makes sense.
But
so, okay, I'm going to ask you a question, Beck. Are handshakes dead?
Are handshakes dead? This is a topic I have been wondering about for quite some time, you know. Like, everyone loves a good handshake, a good little, that sort of thing. But that's kind of how we address each other. And since COVID, we've had to go to our elbow bumps and our arm bumps recently.
To head nods.
2
meters apart, of course.
I honestly do not know if they're coming back.
Yeah, I'm not, especially in a professional environment as well. Unless you have your little bodyguard to the side with your hand sanitizer, shake someone's hand sanitizer, rub, done, carry on.
Have you seen the video of Pope Francis with like worshippers who come to meet him, and they all come trying to like kiss his hand, and he's just there going, no, and he's moving his hand on it every single second or so. And honestly, and that was before coronavirus. He was like, it's a problem for disease. You could be spread and whatnot. He was onto something. This is before coronavirus, so I don't actually know if I don't actually know if handshakes are going to properly return. To be honest, Reece.
That's a good question. To be honest, I reckon. See, the thing is, I feel that me and most people in general, like their first instinct is to like, if they meet someone in a sociable environment, their first instinct is to like kneel in and go for a hug or go for like a handshake or whatever. And so I feel like most people forget about COVID and they just go with their instincts because it's a natural instinct. However, the more and more like COVID becomes a thing, and if we get a second wave, I reckon handshakes will be dead. So wait for the second wave of coronavirus, and then we'll see if handshakes are.
But it's not just handshakes. Do you reckon like just loose change is going to be a thing of the past?
Well, they're trying to go into a cashless society. That's a big thing right now. Hate to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but that is a big thing now. Like for example, a lot of shops now aren't accepting cash because of coronavirus. They're only expecting contactless card.
Which I don't think will even come back. Like now,
No,
it's
it
so
makes sense.
easy to pay with your card or pay with your phone.
Oh, it's so dangerous as well, bro. Honestly, it's like we've lost our psychological connection to money in general. So we're spending so much more money than what we actually need to because we don't actually see it in front of us.
So yes, I were to say it, I think handshakes are dead.
Well, rip to handshakes. Rest in peace, handshakes. Okay, so moving on to more like lighter news. I don't know if you've heard a lot about Kanye West and what he's been doing and the madness that he's been getting up to.
Kanye West has been a very interesting figure for me recently.
He's an interesting guy.
He's been creating some absolute entertaining news recently, and you can't really, from what I can see, he is losing his mind.
Pretty much. He's going a bit crazy. Like during his presidential speech, of course. I remember him, well, he was quoted saying, his wife tried to kill his baby. Like, what? And right now, I don't know if you guys have seen the film Get Out or whatever, but it seems like he's in the sunken place in Get Out.
Because I don't think Kanye West is a completely stable individual, and he has too many people around him right now who are encouraging him to do something stupid. He will never be president. But I think in his mind, he thinks it's going to happen, you know.
Oh, 100%. He compared himself to Picasso. He believes that he is an ultimate genius. And
Which, just speaking about people that like to compare themselves, speaking about the current president of the United States, who just this week decided to say that no one has done more for black and Hispanic people except maybe Abraham Lincoln than him.
The president is a joke, honestly.
Not modest at all there, Trump, at all. But then we have our new presidential candidate, Kanye West.
Kanye for president all day, every day.
Kanye for president, who decided to say that like Kim has been trying to kill his baby, and honestly, he is losing his mind.
Yeah,
about himself.
fully. But I feel that a lot of people there were these theories going around all over social media, everywhere. And everyone believed that by voting for Kanye West, you are essentially limiting the votes for Trump, basically, when you vote for him in November. That's not how it works, pretty much.
That's all right. The way I can explain it is, imagine you have 20 people in the room, in which you have half the people are like some of the people are vegetarian, some of the people are meat eaters, and some of the people want to go for pizza, right?
Yeah.
The people that are pizza eaters, they don't particularly care if there's not meat on the table, right? But if you put it to a vote over 3 restaurants that they're going to go to, the fact that the pizza people are voting in means that the vegetarians have no chance of getting what they want. Essentially, what you're doing when you have someone like Kanye West is you are voting against your own best wishes, if that makes sense. So we have the situation with Donald Trump right now and Kanye West. A vote against, if you want to vote Democrats, if you decide to vote Kanye West, you are essentially removing a vote against your best interests against the Democratic Party. It's the same thing we have in this country, where if you want to get with the Conservatives and you're voting the Scottish National Party, congratulations, you're helping to ensure that the Conservatives manage to stay in.
Pretty much.
It is a complete mess, and I reckon we all need to learn something. Again, the problem is not the candidates, the problem is the system that we are voting in, if that
Pretty
makes
much.
sense.
So what would your advice be to the people? Like, obviously you vote whoever you want to vote in, but at the same time, like, what would you say?
It's hard. You can try and vote for your morals, but in the end of the day, it's called the first past the post system, and it is broken because it means that you can only ever have 2 parties that really can vie for power, and if you give them enough time, it will only go down to 2 parties, and there's nothing we can really do. When it comes to Kanye West, I don't think Kanye West is that bad a guy. I think the people that are pushing him up and are pushing him towards him are honestly taking advantage of a mentally disturbed person.
Oh yeah, no, pretty much. They're egging him on. It's like it's like that small kid in the playground who wants to fight that huge 6'5" tall guy, and there's like people are egging on that small kid, like, yeah, fight him, knowing full well that he's going into a fight that he's going to lose and he's going to come out of it badly.
And he's gonna get he's gonna get the shit beaten out of him.
Yeah, pretty much.
And again, I feel for Kanye because he's a bit of a narcissist, but I don't think he's actually that clever a dude, to be honest, to some extent.
Not at all. I mean, musically, I'll give him that. I give him that.
Yeah, but let's do
pretty
between
decent.
musically genius and being socially
No,
genius.
no, of
you
course,
know.
of course. You couldn't run a whole country, or the biggest country in the world,
But that's
economically.
I think we're pretty much done for the news section of this week, to be honest.
Yeah, more or
We
less.
will be getting back to you with, and we had a lot of positive feedback about our Malawi special. Me and Reece are very excited to talk about our secondary school special that's going to be coming up next Saturday. Do stay tuned for that because you all know so many hilarious stories that have happened in secondary school. Our secondary school was a particular mess. I don't know how else to describe it.
Mess.
So,
no other way to describe it.
Do
to be
stay
honest.
tuned for that. We are going to be getting on to... Oh, if you want to think about how you can help the podcast, please do subscribe to the YouTube channel. When we have 100 subscribers, that means that we will get such benefits as our own URL and our own advertising program, which eventually means that we will be easier for us to grow. So please do subscribe to our YouTube channel. As a reward for this, when we reach 100 YouTube subscribers, we will do an Ask Me Anything episode. So all you have to do, if you want to have your question featured and your name read out on the podcast, just subscribe, and when we reach 100 subscribers, you can post a question, and we will do an episode responding to all your questions about stuff you want to talk about, and yeah,
Pretty much it.
go
yeah.
for it.
Honestly, so get us to 100 subscribers and it'll be even more embarrassing for us.
Yeah, exactly. Ask whatever you want, and we will be forced
Forced.
to answer those questions. But that brings us basically to the end of the podcast. So we will go on. Another way you can support us, like Josh has done recently, is to support us on Patreon as well. We have recently adopted it's a new thing that we're established, and it's called the meal deal tier. Explain to our international viewers what a meal deal is, Reece.
Okay, so to all the international viewers out there, essentially what a meal deal is, it's 3 items that you get for £3, and that's a pretty good bargain. So you would get crisps or a snack, any snack you want, crisps, chocolate, biscuits, whatever, or cookies, sorry.
So the classic example is you get if you go into somewhere like Tesco's or Sainsbury's, you can get a sandwich, crisps, and a drink for £3. And most people, like, speaking for you, Don, when you went to work, how often did you get a meal deal?
Every single day.
Every single day.
Morning.
Every morning. If you consider just for one of those meal deals a month supporting us, that will go an absolute long way in order to help the podcast thrive. So we had a new meal deal tier, and then Reece is going to tell us about our second tier that Josh just subscribed to, which is
the Loyal of Shed tier. So essentially what that is and what will happen is you'll get a shout out at the end of the podcast, and you can pose us whatever question you want, any question you want, and that is for £5 a month.
Exactly, which, just to clarify, for the meal deal tip, we will give you a shout out at the end of every podcast. And do not worry if you want to not have your name revealed. You can make your name whatever you want, and me and Reece will be absolutely forced to read out that name. After that, we have the horrifically named Rancid Teddy tier, in which you will not only receive a shout out at the end of each podcast, and be able to pose us questions, but you'll also be able to receive early access to the podcast, as well as being added to the exclusive RobRant group chat on Facebook, in which we'll be discussing whatever you want. And that brings us to our favourite tier, which is what, Reece?
The Coffin Dancer tier, of course.
The Coffin Dancer tier. And what do you get for the Coffin Dancer tier, Reece?
So for £20 a month to help out to fortunate but unfortunate kids named Beck and Reece, you will get a shout out at the end of each podcast, be able to pose a question, you'll receive early access to the podcast and be added to our Facebook group, as well as join a monthly hangout session with both me and Beck.
So if you want to join the Coffin Dancer tier for just a small sum of £20 a month, you'll be able to hang out with me and Reece we will do this twice a month, in which we will just have a lovely Zoom chat, as all the kids are doing now, Zoom chats, in which we'll be able to discuss whatever you want, and you'll be able to hang out with us. So that is the Patreons. And lastly, we just want to give a big shout out to all the people that make this happen. So,
yes, so we'll just quickly run through this. So shout out to Frankie. for helping us with the designs. And you can find she has a design page called Frankie Parham Designs.
Just Google her, or if you look at our YouTube channel in the description, you'll be able to find her. Next, we have Rosie, who is the editor of all these podcasts. So big shout out to her. She does a lot of work which me and Reece utterly do not understand what to do
Whatsoever. You are a genius in your craft.
Then we have
Next we have Narada, and he is our graphics designer.
So that amazing logo of the RobRant Podcast, he is the creator of that. All you need to do is Google The Real Nari. Again, look in our description to be able to find him. Next we have Tahj, aka DJ Dumb Luck, not DJ Bad Luck. We made that wrong once more. And then next we have
Laban, who is our brilliant marketing guy.
He's our head of marketing, so he's the guy who's going to take us from a small-time podcast into a podcast that will revolutionize the scene. I'm fairly
Joe Rogan, we're coming for you.
And then finally, a big shout out to everyone who has supported us, because realistically, what we are doing now, we record us talking, but what we are really waiting for is for you to respond and to be part of the community. And it's been an awesome adventure right now. So thank you to everyone who's gotten involved. And thank you for listening, is all I'm saying. So, where to find us, Reece?
You can find us on facebook.com at /the RobRant.
You can find us at twitter.com/RobRantPod. And then finally,
patreon.com /the RobRant Podcast.
Which, if you want to find any of us, you can find our link tree on YouTube. And it will be all absolutely fine. Thank you very much for listening. I just want to do a quick sign off and say this has been a project that has come out of coronavirus, and I've absolutely loved doing it, and I cannot wait to continue creating podcasts for you guys to listen. Thank you very much.
Yes. Peace. See you later, guys.
Alright, see you later, guys.
Hello guys, welcome. This is episode 3 of the podcast, and I'm pretty sure
we're episode 2.
Oh, what? This is episode 3, bro.
Yeah, the other one's a special. Like,
for fuck's sake.
The main series.
Alright, take 2. Fuck it, we carry on rolling.
No, we don't carry on. Back to the beginning, Dom.
Oh my god.